Good evening, lovely spirits. It's the wise servant here, Mr. Solace. And today I want to do this video called Roman Catholic Church Secrets Part 2. Now, hopefully everyone's seen Part 1. Because I'm trying to get y'all to wrap your minds around the fact that the Bible is a book about the Satan and how everyone falls into their Satan eventually in the book. There's maybe a small few who didn't fall into their Satan in the book, but the book is about the Satan and how you must watch out for the Satan within yourself, because it's the duality that's within all beings. The spirit of God and the body of Satan. So it's body and spirit. It's a battle. But it's a deep thing. I want y'all to wrap y'all minds around this, because a lot of people are lost into the religion and they're lost into the book, not realizing that the book is about the Satan. It has nothing to do with God. Now, a lot of people may read the Bible and they say to themselves, man, this book is contradicting, confusing. It's not really making sense. And this is because you have in your mind that God should be of goodness, equality, oneness, allness, humbleness. And sometimes the character God in the Bible, he doesn't really match up with that. He's jealous, and you like, that's not a God. That's not a good characteristics, but that's God. So you overlook it. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. The reason it's written contradicting like that, and sometimes God's characteristics don't match up to what he's supposed to be, is because it's written in the perspective of the Satan. The whole book is about the Satan. The God in the book is in his Satan. So it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. Just like many of us, we're not walking around living in our spiritual truth and understandings. We're lost in our Satan, which is the physical, the body. We're lost in that. And this is what that book is truly about. Now, I want to go deep into this so y'all can grasp. In the book, you have two main characters. You have devil, which is Satan, and you have God. Now, we know the devil is equal to God, meaning he can challenge God and manipulate God, so he's a God himself. But he's the Satan, so that means he's a liar, an oppressor. He's proud. He's a trickster. He'll manipulate the truth and just tricksy. Proud. Views himself as most high and above others. So we know this is the characteristics of the Satan. Then you have our perspective of what we know God should be, which is goodness, balance, order, equalness, oneness, fairness, these type of things. So you know in your mind's eye, God is of goodness and things like this, and fairness and balance and most highs and things like this. This don't really fit into that description. But it's okay because that's God, so I'm going to overlook it. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. In the Bible, let's analyze the characteristics of the God in it. Now, in the Bible, it starts off, it says, in the beginning, it was dark and void, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the deep. And everyone believes, okay, so that was God in the beginnings when he was creating the world. But you have to grasp, it didn't say that was God. It said that was the Spirit of God. It said it was void and dark, and the Spirit of God was hovering. So you have to grasp, there's a difference. The Spirit of God ain't God. It is of him or from him. And you have to grasp, we are all spirits of God. So you have to grasp, you have the Spirit of God in you, meaning the Spirit is of God in the body, which is the physical desires and the physical reality, this is of the Satan. So when you're speaking of anybody or any living being, you look or refer to the spirit within as the spirit of God. You never heard nobody say, oh, that's the spirit of Satan. You did just call him Satan, like, oh, that nigga Satan, or he the devil. So you have to grasp, when it referred to the God hovering in the void darkness, it referred to him as the spirit of God, because it wasn't God. It was just a being that separated himself from the allness, the oneness, the fairness. So you have to grasp, when you're reading the text, you have to read deep. You have to read in your higher conscious, knowing the characteristics of the two so that you can know who you're reading about. So it's a simple, deep thing. You know the characteristics of the two. Yet when you hear the characteristics of God matching the Satan, you overlook it. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. It's just like Adam and Eve's story. And it's a deep thing I want y'all to grasp. In the Adam and Eve story, God told Adam and Eve, if you eat of the fruit of the tree, you'll surely die. Now you have to grasp. The serpent came, and he said, if you eat of the tree, you won't surely die. You'll just know as God knows. So then Eve ate of the tree. And the book tells you what the serpent told her. That's what happened. She knew as God knew. She knew right from wrong. So she knew when she ate. So now you have to ask yourself. She didn't fall down and die. So now you have to ask yourself. The God in the Bible that told Eve not to eat of the tree, was that the Satan? Or was that the true God? Because the Satan is tricksy. And he is a God. So you have to grasp. Now, everything that God told Eve would happen to her if she ate of the fruit, it didn't happen. He didn't even do nothing to her for it happening. He supposedly cursed her, but in plain sense, nothing he said was true. Now, we know that Satan is the liar and the trickster and the oppressor. Now you have to ask yourself, was Adam and Eve being oppressed? Were they free to go wherever they want? Were they free to do whatever they wanted? No. In the moment that they began to do whatever they wanted, then they were set free or kicked out. So God said. So you have to grasp, when you're reading the book, you have to know the characteristics of God, the allness. And you have to know the characteristics of someone falling into their Satan. So you have to grasp, when you're reading the book, the character God, he's in his Satan. This is why he views himself as the Most High, and you must obey. And if you don't, you get punished. And it's a lot of threatening going on, and it's a lot of orders of killing going on. And you know in your mind's eye, this does not seem godly. But God said these people are bad, so it's good because they must die and die for goodness sake. So you kind of just overlook things in the book. The book kind of brings the person that's in the religion into their Satan. So you have to grasp. Me speaking how I'm speaking now, it will make a Christian hate me. And they'll say, man, he's a liar. He's the Satan. And they'll have hate towards me. And this is what the book does, the religion. It's based on the Satan. So it pushes that energy out when you're reading it. Because when you're reading it, you're reading that God is good and this is the way you should be. Yet the characteristics of God in the Bible is not such a great person. But you striving for that. So it makes you go into your Satan. It's a deep thing y'all have to grasp when you're reading the book. You have to be in a certain conscious to truly grasp. It's like God in the Bible is Satan. And whoever oppresses God is evil. And they're the devil. Even though the devil in the Bible is God. There is no God. See, you have to grasp. The Bible never speaks of the true God, which is oneness, allness, equality. It says the Israelites are the special people. So this has nothing to do with oneness and allness in balance and order. This has to do with status in most highness. So you have to grasp. It's written like that because the book is about the Satan. It doesn't have anything to do with God and equalness and none of that. What God is, you don't see that anywhere in the Bible. Because the Bible is about the God that's lost in his Satan. Whenever you hear the word or the title, God, this is a title of dominion. You know that. So what characteristics do that fall in? You have will. You have your own thought, your own conscience. So you have to think. You have to read. There was no instructions in the book saying this person is God and this. It just starts in the beginning. So you have to be wise enough to know, okay, what am I reading? And it's a deep thing y'all have to grasp. The Bible has to do all with law. Law has nothing to do with goodness, balance, equality. Law is a thing of control. So in the ancient times, you have Ma'at, M-A-A-T, Ma'at of ancient Egypt, and then you have now law. Now, we're so lost in our Satans in this times, we confuse the two. We think 48 laws of Ma'at. Mind you, law does not belong in there. Because Ma'at is the law, which is order. So there is no law. In ancient Egypt, the 48, basically Ma'at. This was true law, which was order. See, you have to understand, law is a matter of control. So we have laws to obey now. And if you don't obey those laws, you get punished forcibly. But when you're dealing with Mat, which is order, it is not the same as law because it's not controlling. You have order and it flows how it flows. And if you go against the order, then you have disorder in stress and strain. If you try to swim upstream, you're going against the order, the flow. Therefore, you'll have stress and strain and it'll be hard for you. But there's no punishment or control in that, because at any moment you can just turn around and go with the flow or the order. But you have to know the order. You have to know, okay, the stream is going this way. Why am I going this way? But this is the difference between law and Ma'at. So when you hear brothers say, oh, I know the 48 laws of Ma'at, he doesn't understand that what he's basically saying is, I know the 48 laws of order. In order and law, they're contradicting of one of the other. They don't go together because order does not move in the way of law. So you figure if you break the law, you'll get arrested. Ancient times, you may have got stoned. If you break the order, then you just have to live in that disorder. So it's a simple thing. And in the ancient times, they understood this. It had nothing to do with law and trying to control people. This is the order, which is Ma'at. And you can go downstream with it and flow with it, or you can try to go against it. And you just have to live that way if that's what you want to do. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. It's like the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. This is an order, meaning someone's ordering you, telling you what you can't and can do. Thou shalt not kill. Don't do this. But in the 48 laws of Ma'at, or in the book of spells, when it's dealing with orders, the orders of the universe, it doesn't say thou shalt not kill. It says, I have not killed. Grasp that. It's a deep thing. I have not killed. I have not stolen. So it says it in that way, and that makes a big difference because that is order. Meaning the flow of life is not about killing and harming and taking. And I have not went against the order. So when you say I have not killed, that's saying I have not went against the order. But it has nothing to do with force or punishment or none of that. If you did, then you would have to say, I have killed. Meaning you have went against the order. And now you have to live amongst that disorder. Because if you kill a person, then you cause grief and pain. And then the people that's related to the person you killed, they want to come back at you. And this creates disorder. But there's no punishment in that because you just have to live in that. And you may be killed too. And you may get stressed out and lose weight because you're always on guard now. And this is how it works when you go against order. It's different with law. When you go against law, you're forced. You're being told what to do, what not to do. Thou shalt not steal. In Ma'at, I have not stolen. It's a big difference. And a lot of people don't grasp that. And it's because here, in this reality we live in, everyone's lost in their Satan or they're slowly becoming the Satan. So you start off as a baby, you don't know nothing, you're humbled. People try to teach you things, you listen, and you just gullible and humbled and pure, and there's truly no badness in you when you're a baby. And then as you slowly grow older, you learn physical things. How to tie your shoe. This makes you want shoes. And you learn physical things. The way of the physical. And you completely lose that spiritual principle and morals. And humility and balance and allness. Children don't see themselves as above one another when they're like 3, 4. They don't even see sex like, oh, that's a girl and that's a boy. And to them, we just babies. We just chilling. So you see the innocence. But as they get older, they begin to separate themselves. I got more than this brother. He's a bum. I'm better than him. So the book, the life, the physical life, it forms and pushes you into the Satan more and more as you get older. And by the time, so we all on the path to being the Satan. Those that were here and were gods of the past, they now live amongst the stars and they'll ascend up and keep ascending up and live in the same space the galaxies live in, being the galaxies, so on and so forth. And we're all on that same path, lost in Satan. And it's a deep thing you have to grasp. That's why in the beginning it was dark and void. For those that were cast away, you came up in that void. You are the creations of he who was in the void. The God that was lost in his Satan. That's why he was there. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. Everybody in this reality is pretty much on that path. We don't look at things from the spiritual perspective. You don't even grasp that. You figure you read the Bible, you can't even discern goodness. You figure like this. You know what goodness is. You know allness and balance is what's goodness. And you know anything that fits in the form of dominion is going against that order. Yet when you read the Bible, you put that aside. Why? Because you lost in your Satan. It's the same reason why someone may be in your family may be going through hard times and you'll buy a new car, completely disregarding what's going on with them. It's the same perspective. You lost into Satan, so you like, fuck everybody, y'all. I don't got time. I want the car. So it's like, man, I don't. So it's a deep thing you have to grasp. And this is the perspective the Bible was written in. There is no God. See, you have to grasp. There's only oneness and allness. The true creator is oneness and allness and abundanceness in giving, order, balance, these things. You would never hear a story about the true creator because it is oneness with all. Grasp that. If I view myself as you and every other thing on this planet, how can I say I am anything. We. So you will never hear a story about God, the true God. Who is the real God of this existence? You'll never hear that real story, because once you get that title, you're dealing with Most High. You're dealing with dominion. You're dealing with separation from the all. When a person says, I'm the flyest motherfucker on the planet, he's separating himself from everyone else now. I'm flyer than them. When I say I'm the smartest mother effer on the planet, I'm separating myself from y'all. But it's a deep thing, because I need to do that, because y'all are lost in y'all Satan. But you have to grasp, when you do that, you're separating from the all. Now, why does everyone here separate themselves from one another? Why is it when you see a person, you don't look at all the similarities, meaning, damn, they got 2 eyes, a nose, lips, they got everything I got. You look for the smallest things to separate you. They white, I'm black. My hair is coarse, theirs is straight. I have on Jordans, they have on Payless. We're different. Grasp, and y'all know it's deep like that. Man, I drive a Benz, that nigga don't. We different, we ain't the same. So you have to grasp. We look for the small differences to separate ourselves. And it's a reason for that, because that's what this reality is. The Satan. We men fall into their physical and get lost. And it all started with the first one who separated.